Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another of my videos about 1985. And well, I did the top 10 news events of 1985 and the top 10 sporting events in 1985, in my opinion, of course. I want to give you something big. So today, tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday, or to you and me, April 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, I will be releasing a 10 facts video about me. Like there's 40 facts I want you to know about me and all that. And each one of the 10 facts things for the next 4 days will be themed. So we're going to start with this one, which I like to call the icebreaker, because you're cold as ice. I can only know that theme from that one line, but I can't remember the song. But anyway, icebreaker, heartbreaker, strength maker, da 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 da. Anyway, here we go. So let's start with the basics. The first major basic is that I was born Tuesday, April the 9th, 1985, in Kitchener at St. Mary's Hospital. A healthy baby boy, the third of three children to Ron and Diana Diamond, and got much love from my siblings, my older siblings, Everett and Christine. I'll talk about those two in a future video. But the fact of the matter is, yeah, I was born in St. Mary's, and that was a massive job for me to be born in the first place. So got that down pat. Um, what else do you want to know? Well, I graduated public school cleanly, of course, without no major flaws except for social anxiety. I moved on to high school and graduated from Waterloo Oxford District Secondary School. Nowadays, we're known as the Gators. However, what you need to know is that, you know, we were known as the Crusaders for a long time until some families decided it was not a good idea to be named the Crusaders because it was offensive. To me, Crusaders is not offensive. Well, yes, of course, there were some bad crusades in history. I agree, but the fact of the matter is, it also can be um, something that you strive to do. Like if you want to go for something, you go for it. Like in your career, or like to do a good experience and all that. I can see the negative side. Unfortunately, though, I don't agree with a lot of it. And, you know, it is what it is. But calling us the Gators, well, at least it's not offensive like the cows or something farm related. I mean, Waterloo Oxford is one of only two Waterloo Region high schools to be outside city limits, with Elmira being the other one, as far as I know. I'm probably wrong. But nevertheless, Waterloo Oxford also is where I got to meet some very interesting people and all that. Well, from public school to high school, I had two very good friends in the names of Jesse Leet and James Campbell. I don't connect with them that much. I think they're busy and all that, but I'm sure they're successes. And in high school, I used to hang out with a lot of interesting people. A few interesting people that, who are probably not on Facebook anymore would be Eric Bender and Jeff Schwarzentrooper. They're very good friends of mine and all that. My love of sports is based off of them, and practically, you know, that's what I had. Also, to note is the fact that I do have a Facebook friend who I keep in contact with almost monthly, and his name is Tanner Mahalik. He's the guy who is why I'm named Cutter. My origin story for the nickname Cutter is that Tanner, alongside his friend group, which was about a year older than me, knew my last name was Diamond and also knew I was smart doing mental math and sports stuff in my head. So thus he decided to taken upon himself to call me Cutter because my last name being Diamond. Legitimately, it is Diamond. So I've ran with it, and I've been known as Cutter since I was 17 in 2002. So thus, he's the one who gave me the name Cutter and all that. Also to note, at Waterloo Oxford, I graduated in 4 years in 2003. Um, that I had some very inspiring staff members. One who is deceased now, and one who is still on Facebook sometimes, but has been a mentor to me and all that. By the way, the guys, the teacher who is deceased but was an influence on me, his name was Pat Coling. He was my grade 11 history teacher. Now, I knew my history stuff and all that, but on tests, I would freeze up, I would do terribly, and I would be easily distracted and all that. However, at a meet the teacher night, my mom went to see Mr. Coling, and he was the guy who told my mom, "I think that Jeff has got to do better in tests, but I think he's got the information up here, of course, pointing to the head. Of course, this is being an audio thing, but down here, he doesn't know. He just can't translate it to paper." So he decided to give me a few um, aids in helping with tests and all that, and would, rework the questions and all that to me and all that. So I knew what I was doing. So thanks to his influences and his help, I jumped my average from 59 to 65 in history. Well, I think it was 68 then. But anyway, I jumped up heavily in that class and all that. And of course, I can't forget Samuel Wong. I worked in the library alongside him in grade 12, my fourth year at Waterloo Oxford. And the fact of the matter is that, yeah, he was patient and he was a kind person. The stories he would tell and all that, great guy. And, I kept in touch with him for many years. I went to his retirement thing from Waterloo Oxford. I seen him a couple times. The library hosted the celebration of life for Mr. Coling, May 31st, 2014. I remember that. But the fact of the matter is that, yeah, I spoke at that thing, and it's fun connecting with Mr. Wong, and of course, try to be philosophical and all that. Great guy, great world traveler. I wish I was like that too, but I'm kind of a homebody. So as is that it, I'm giving you 4 different facts about me in one foul swoop. Hard, don't you think? So the next 2 facts, of course, are bundled up in this recording, but the fact of the matter is that, I graduated from Royal Oxford, took a gap year, wasn't expected to go to college because, I was good for college, but like my parents couldn't really afford it, and, living outside the farm was different. However, my brother Edward decided to take it upon himself to find a place in Kitchener, get me to Conestoga College because I was accepted for computer programmer, and the rest kind of was history. But the fact of the matter is that I went to school. I needed to get a good job and all that. Unfortunately, the first few years was not easy for me because I had failed like prerequisites, and based on that, I couldn't finish the diploma in 3 years like I was supposed to. So what ended up happening was, I ended up having to take courses over and over again and all that. So the first 2 years was terrible. Now the reasoning is because I rarely asked for help, if at all. I didn't like asking for help and all that. It wasn't that, oh, I know this stuff, I don't need to ask for help. No, it's the fact of the matter that, you know, I really needed. I didn't know how to ask for help, and I always jumble up my words and all that. I got into my own head and all that. But nevertheless, I did graduate from Conestoga College in Kitchener with a computer programming diploma. The unfortunate part was that I did not get anything associated with it. I guess because of my marks and the fact that it took me 4 years to do a 3 year program. That kind of was, not there. So what could I do? But I did graduate. I still have my diploma and all that. I barely look at it because, I'm ashamed of myself in a sense. But you just need to know that. So here's a few more super facts about, you know, the influences, my sports influences, if you ask me. Just gonna basically tell you about my sports collection and of course my favorite teams for sports. When it comes to a sports collection, I have a massive amount of sports cards. Not compared to the hardcore guys who have like 4,000, 5,000. I have like 2,600 plus different baseball and hockey players. I try to make sure that I have one player per card or one card per player. Just one, like a one Roger Clemens card or one um, Matt Sundin card in rotation and all that. You know, it's actually pretty amazing how many players I have at like rookie cards and all that. I like rookie cards and all that. So we got that, and of course my favorite teams. I know you want to know. You kind of want to know. You kind of don't want to know. But I'm gonna give you the skinny on my teams. For baseball, it's definitely the Blue Jays, with the Red Sox a close second. I kind of love the Blue Jays because of my experiences seeing the Blue Jays and all that. And I will talk about that in a couple days. But yeah, the Red Sox, I kind of have a fondness for them, and the Cubs for their long suffering before they finally got onto the mountaintop. For basketball, it's got to be the Raptors because, in the Toronto area, the Raptors. I kind of have a soft spot for the Golden State Warriors and a little bit of soft spot for the Bulls, before the Raptors came in 95. So, anyhow, yeah, it was fun to see a Raptors game. And of course, I'll talk about that when I talk about my experience in my experiences video. But the fact of the matter was that, you know, I love the Raptors. For football, for the NFL, it's the New England Patriots. I jumped around with like Dallas and St. Louis in my younger days, but when the Pats won in the Super Bowl in 2002 when I was 17, I thought maybe I should be a Patriots fan because they had won this Super Bowl and it speaks to me as a patriot, as I love my country. So the fact of the matter is, I stuck being a Patriots fan, and I've been a Patriots fan since 2002 through 6 titles and countless people getting angry. I'm a Patriots fan, and for a team that cheats and all that, they have cheated. You're right, and they got got caught. But the fact of the matter is, I'm still a Patriots fan, even though that we're rebuilding. For the CFL, that's the Canadian Football League. My team is definitely the Montreal Alouettes. It could have been the Toronto Argos because of the Toronto theme. But when Doug Flutie left for the NFL in 1999 from the CFL, I think it was his choice. I basically was ticked off, and I said, you know what, screw it. I'm not going to be a Argos fan. So I searched for a team. I could have easily went to Calgary, went to the Western playoffs thing, but I chose Montreal because they had a good story and all that. So I've been an Alouettes fan since 1999, seen what 4 Grey Cups with the team. Yeah, 4 of the Alouettes Grey Cups I've been as a fan. That was 2002, 2009, 2010, and of course 2023. So yeah, I get a lot of flack from my good buddy Bill Lang about being an Alouettes fan when he's an Argos fan and he's had a lot of great cups and all that. Um, for hockey, it's got to be the Leafs with the New York Rangers at very close second place on that one because of my influences with Blue Shirt Underground, and I'll talk about them in a couple days. But the fact of the matter is that I'm a gigantic Toronto Maple Leafs fan. I have a lot of Leafs merchandise and all that. My family knew I was going to be a Stone Cold Leafs fan and all that. I have cousins who are Bruins fans, Habs fans, and Oiler fans, among other things. But the hates the hates there. Like we don't completely trash each other and all that. But yeah, I'm a Leafs fan, even though that they have the longest Stanley Cup drought like, and even the longest Stanley Cup Finals drought, I think, in history. But nevertheless, it's not fun and all that. But when it comes to other sports, like, I'm a gigantic England soccer fan, even though they haven't won a title, a major tournament since 1966, 19 years before my birth. I kind of can join England because of my paternal heritage and all that. Maternally, it's German slash American, but like German, yes. But yeah, I'm an England fan through and through, and of course, so is Bill. And when it comes to college, I I'm an Arkansas nut. Reason being is because when I was 9 years old, I didn't know who to cheer for college and all that. And at the time, the Toronto Independent Network, the City Network, did NCAA basketball and did the coverage for that. And Arkansas won that tournament in 1994, the first year I spotted it, and I said, "Well, why don't I be an Arkansas fan?" So that's what I am. Even though the Arkansas basketball team hasn't done too badly, they've been to Sweet 16s for the past 5 years, which has been great for me. And the football team's been going through growing pains and all that. They were looking so good last year. They did win, I think it was the Liberty Bowl against Texas Tech, but regardless, I'm an Arkansas fan. So, woo! So anyway, that's my sports influences. Um, Now I know I can't be too like out there about my living arrangements. So just basic Cliff's notes is that I moved into a semi with my brother in 2004 because I was going to go to college and all that. I I graduated from Conestoga, and then in 2008 I was basically ready to move out on my own. Unfortunately, though, didn't really have much money and all that. I couldn't find a decent, affordable place. And also the fact that my brother was going to move with his new bride to Milton, and that basically, he would sell the house and I had to find something else. But knowing my situation the way it was, my brother decided, screw it, I'm going to make Jeffrey stay here, but I need to get him a roommate. And so he did. My aunt was living in a one bedroom thing in Kitchener and all that. Unfortunately, though, it wasn't completely great for her. Then she decided to take the offer, take my brother up on the offer, and move in with me, so that I have someone around, and who would do things for me, and I would do things for her. So basically, that's what happened. And since November 2008, my aunt Mick has been living with me and all that. We keep to ourselves. We don't really butt into other people or the other person's personal lives as much. I'll ask Mick what's going on if I notice something's wrong with her and all that. She'll say the same about me. But we feed off each other and all that, and we have fur babies and all that through the years. I mean, she had her PTSD dog Peace for a while till 2018, had a calico cat named Mouse till 2018, a blonde tabby named Sandy till 2020, and a orange and white munchkin cat named Tink till 2022. So the cats lived a long time. Mouse was 16 when she died. Sandy was 21, I like to say. No, Sandy was 20 and Tink was 21 when she passed on. And and those are human years, not cat years. So anyway, yeah, it's been fun and all that, and I wouldn't trade it for anything because everything's been great. My brother being my landlord and him being so understanding and helping out with stuff around the house, great. And to end this video, I talk about two lovely people in my life, my niece and nephew, or my brother's two kids. Um, Erin and Marlene wanted to have kids and all that. And fortunately, though, they got their first kid October 2009 when my niece Victoria was born. So she's 15 now. She's almost hit her sweet 16, but that'll be later in the year, in 6 months. Nevertheless, Victoria was a prominent girl, proud girl, and all that. Unfortunately, though, Victoria does have difficulties and all that. Something I can relate to. Don't get me wrong. Victoria's a smart girl. She knows her stuff and all that, but she's like me, unfortunately, and just can't put ideas down on paper and all that. In some aspects, she's more quote unquote special than me, and in some respects, she's got me beat, especially with her social life and all that. But the fact of the matter for Victoria is that she hasn't had what everything pinpointed, like what the problem really is, like pinpoint the problem. It's like me and my autism. Like I wasn't diagnosed autistic till I was 20 in 2005. So, she still has time, and she has still time to turn things around. So, hopefully, Victoria will be fine. I think she'll be fine. But compared to my nephew Bentley, Bentley's a strong little bugger, as I call him, as my brother calls him. He's 13. He's now a teenager. But he's a triple threat. He loves to play video games. He plays Fortnite. He has a YouTube channel on it. For security reasons, I'm not going to disclose his YouTube channel name, but you'll figure it out. But nevertheless, um, he has almost as many subscribers as I do. But yeah, he plays Fortnite and all that. Nothing wrong with that. Number two, he's a good artist. Like he can draw and he can paint. He's good at that stuff. He's artistic, and I'm autistic. But also, the fact of the matter is, his main goal right now is hockey. Like, he's now playing on a AAA team. That's kind of a few levels under the OHL, if you will, if you live in Ontario. But the fact of the matter is that he's going through AAA, and if he can plow through AAA like he did in AA this year, then he should be fine. I think he'll be a good hockey player. And if not, he can fall back on his artistic abilities or even his video game abilities. I have much faith in those two. I really do. Anyway, that's the icebreaker and all that. Tomorrow I will be talking more about, you got to work it, or I'll find a work pun. Anyhow, I'm Jeff Diamond.